that yours? Is that yours?
Yes.
Where do you want to sit here? Give me the water bottle for a second. Okay, you gotta be careful with that, Christopher. When you're wearing your backpack, you gotta put it on both arms. You don't want to sit in the middle?
Sit right there.
Put that in your backpack since you're just.
for Mysteries of the Deep. We'll be getting started in just a couple more minutes. Right now I'd like to ask everyone to please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. That way we can all enjoy this program uninterrupted. If you need to leave at any point during the program, please do so using the doors you entered from at the back right. Thank you so much, everyone. We've got about 2.5 minutes until we get started. So for now, sit back and enjoy the rest of this trivia.
I know about
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tara, and I want to tell you a story about the ocean and the people who study it. People have long been drawn to the ocean and its beauty, mystery, and abundance. It's a source of inspiration for everyone from surfers to poets to marine biologists. The ocean is one of the most powerful forces on our planet, shaping and influencing nearly every aspect of our lives on land. In fact, our very survival is directly tied to the health of the ocean. For example, fresh water evaporates from the ocean and returns to us in the form of rain and snow, providing most of the drinking water on Earth. But I would have to say one of the most surprising facts about the ocean has to do with some of the smallest but most abundant forms of life on the planet. Plankton. What if I told you that trillions of tiny plant-like plankton, or phytoplankton, are helping to shield us from the worst impacts of climate change? These tiny organisms photosynthesize just like plants do on land and absorb a big chunk of the carbon dioxide we emit when we burn fossil fuels. Not only that, but half of Earth's oxygen is created in the ocean by phytoplankton as part of this same process. Phytoplankton form the base of ocean food webs. They feed slightly larger animal plankton, like krill and copepods, which in turn are gobbled up by schooling fishes. And everything from sharks to tunas, dolphin fish, even dolphins and pelicans, they're more than happy to make a meal of these sardines and anchovies. It's amazing to think that all life on the planet, both on land and in the sea, is completely dependent upon a healthy, thriving community of phytoplankton. As it turns out, we know a lot about the shallow, sunlit waters of the ocean, but the majority of the sea lies cloaked in darkness. The deep sea. Scientists have long tried to study the deep sea, but crushing pressure, profound darkness, and frigid temperatures are just a few of the factors that have made it difficult to study. In 1934, scientist William Beebe teamed up with engineer Otis Barton to go on a series of historic dives off the coast of Bermuda that captured international attention. After being bolted into a thick steel ball dubbed the bathysphere, Beebe and Barton were lowered a half-mile beneath the surface of the ocean. Beebe describes the sound of the creaking, groaning sphere and wondered if the immense pressure would crush the vessel, with him inside it. He peered out the window and describes the strange, glowing creatures that call the deep sea home. Creatures like the black sea devil anglerfish, which use a glowing lure to attract curious prey and have long fascinated scientists eager to uncover the secrets of life in the deep sea. Beebe's dives ushered in a new era of research that sought to shed light on this strange, vast world that was previously impossible to visit. Today, we continue to explore the largest but least understood habitat on planet Earth. But we've had to come up with some new ways to do that. Like I said, the ocean is really hard to study. Silicon Valley tech pioneer David Packard, also one of the Aquarium's founders, wanted to change all of that. He set out to break new ground in the field of ocean research. So, he founded our partner organization, the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, or MBARI, with a simple but powerful idea. Put scientists and engineers under one roof and build the tools to support groundbreaking ocean science. This collaborative atmosphere has resulted in a culture of innovation that has transformed our understanding of life in the deep sea. Since 1987, the MBARI has used the Monterey Bay as its test laboratory, and it's pretty easy to see why. Here we are in Monterey. Across the bay is Santa Cruz, and over here in the middle is Mouse Landing, and that's where MBARI is located. This strategic location is one of the few places in the world where the deep sea lies close to shore. It's easy to forget that some of the features we have on land, like mountains and canyons, can also be found underwater. In fact, Monterey is home to an underwater canyon that is deeper than and as wide as the Grand Canyon, making it the ideal test laboratory since it provides access to that deep water close to shore. So Bar set up shop here, taking advantage of the opportunity to test innovative tools and gain a new understanding of life in the deep sea. This is the Western Flyer. On board, the Abari team is preparing to launch a remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, a tool that has greatly helped our understanding of life in the deep sea. An ROV is a submarine with no one on board and is controlled by people on a ship at the surface. A cable provides power and sends commands down to the ROV, which then collects samples and sends footage back to the ship. ROVs offer some key advantages over the human-occupied submersibles of the past. For one thing, robots don't get tired, so they can stay underwater much longer than humans. And while our eyes may be great, they lack the ability to zoom in and capture high-definition footage that can later be shared around the world. Using ROVs to study the deep sea has allowed us to make some truly amazing discoveries that would not have been possible in the human-occupied subs of the past. They're helping us to study a unique community full of weird and wonderful creatures found right here in the Monterey Submarine Canyon. Creatures like the barrel-eye. This fish was first discovered in the 1930s when it was pulled up in nets dragged through the deep sea. But in 2008, we made a surprising new discovery. The barrel-eye has a clear gelatinous dome that covers its eyes, a feature that was always destroyed in those early days of discovery. Turns out, that dome protects the barrel-eye from the stinging tentacles of the jellies they eat. ROVs with their high-definition cameras are allowing us to study these creatures in their natural habitats. And we've learned that some of them have pretty interesting tricks up their sleeves. For example, this vampire squid, named for its blood-red skin and cloak-like arms. This unusual creature, about the size of a football, can actually turn itself inside out when it feels threatened. In doing so, it looks less like a tasty calamari and more like a jelly, which fewer animals want to eat. The vampire squid feeds mainly on all of those white floating bits you see in the water there. That ever-present marine snow is mainly composed of animal poop, dead skin, and reproductive materials. It's the preferred diet of many deep-sea creatures. This is the giant larvation. While a giant in comparison to other larvaceans. It can grow to about 10 centimeters or 4 inches, and it also feeds on that marine snow. But the larvation does this by filtering vast amounts of seawater through a complex structure it creates out of mucus. These bubble-like mucus structures can be up to 3 feet across. The larvation will beat its tail from within to create a current that concentrates and funnels the food directly to its mouth. Once that house becomes clogged, the larvation simply swims away, leaving the house to sink to the seafloor while it goes on to build a new one. Until recently, it was impossible to study these delicate structures in their natural habitat. So in Monterey brought together scientists, engineers, and ROV pilots to build a new tool, the Deep PIV. It's a laser-based tool that can be mounted on an ROV. And using it, our scientists can create 3D models of these delicate filter structures. That way, they can measure how the currents move within them. Despite their small size, researchers revealed that the larvation can filter 20 gallons of seawater per hour through that little house. These ROVs have also allowed us to study the reproductive habits of deep-sea creatures. For example, this female black-eyed squid. She was observed carrying around a massive egg case in her arms. And since there's nowhere to put it down in the deep sea, she'll carry that for 6 to 8 months. Keep in mind, it's blocking her beak during that time, too, so she can't eat either. But I would have to give the award to the best deep sea mother to an octopus. Scientists found this octopus about a mile below the surface, caring for her recently laid eggs. Octopuses brood their eggs, protecting them from predators, and rarely, if ever, leave them unattended. Those scientists returned week after week to check on her, and weeks became months. Months became years. Until 4.5 years later, they returned to find 160 empty egg cases, and even some of her baby octopuses. Those scientists were astounded. 4.5 years is the longest known example of an animal caring for its young. The ROV is just one of the many tools we're using to help understand the ocean. The Embara team is constantly creating and improving the tools we have available to help answer questions about the ocean. For example, our ability to map underwater canyons and mountains was limited in the past by the fact that it was done by a surface ship, sometimes miles away. So they came together to build a new tool, a robot that could fly programmed missions close to the underwater terrain and produce detailed maps, just like a detailed satellite maps of land. But those scientists also wanted to understand how life can survive on the seafloor when it looks like a desert to our eyes. So they created this benthic rover, benthic meaning bottom. It's the size of a small car and is programmed to patrol the muddy seafloor for 6 months at a time, slowly moving along and analyzing the life it finds. After 6 months, scientists bring it back to the surface, retrieve its data, and prepare it for its next deployment. By inventing and deploying these tools, Embara is giving us the unprecedented opportunity to understand ocean health today. The collective findings from our many tools are all pointing in one direction. We are living in an age of a rapidly changing ocean. The ocean acts like a sponge, absorbing the carbon pollution generated when we burn fossil fuels like oil and gas for energy. Absorbing that pollution is changing the ocean's chemistry. It's becoming more acidic, and this condition could have drastic effects on marine life, like the
A few minutes later.
It's equipped with a variety of sensors to monitor ocean health. And it's programmed to dive into the deep sea and then collect data on its way back to the surface. There, that data is transmitted to a satellite where it is freely available to researchers, educators, and policymakers around the world. Scientists can use this information to understand how ocean acidification and climate change are affecting ocean health today, and better predict how those changes might affect the ocean in the future. Whatever the case, we know one thing. The ocean needs you just as much as you need it. The ocean is the heart of our climate system and our best defense against climate change. If we wanted to continue providing these services, then we need to come together to advance solutions and join the growing movement toward a renewable energy future. There are so many ways you can get involved, from turning off the lights when you leave a room or unplugging any devices when you go on vacation, to bigger things like supporting politicians who advocate for the environment. If you want to see more deep sea creatures, visit our newest exhibit, Into the Deep, Exploring Our Undiscovered Ocean. If you have any questions, once again, my name is Tara. I'll be up here for a couple minutes if you'd like to come chat. Thank you all so much for joining me. And if you're ready to head out and keep exploring, have a wonderful rest of your day at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Should we go to the next exhibit?
Yes.